Hi everyone, welcome to this week's new podcast. Today I have a special guest from Brussels, Belgium, and she's actually German, and her name is Karin Dürkoop. I always get nervous to pronounce last name, but because I'm Asian, I suppose, but it's so cool to be able to connect to international guests, and today is no exception. So a little introduction. So her website, it's called Transition Time, and when I looked at it, I was like, that's so awesome, because I can tell she also coach women in transition, and this is what I do, but we work in different capacity, and she offers personal coaching and authentic communication connection, and she's a love and divorce coach. So obviously she works in specific areas, different than mine, but I just love the website called transitiontime.net. So it was really a pleasure to meet her today and do this podcast. So I know that you live in many countries. You live in Poland, Sweden, Singapore, Germany, UK, and now in Belgium. And you also have a very diverse career background. You work in career coaching, human resources, and now obviously in the area of love, and so many qualification and coaching certification. But I think today we're going to talk about two things that really got me interested. One, it's about her conscious Uncoupling coaching certification, and the other one is coaching in the one. Because the reason is because actually years ago I went through the program called Calling in the One. That was when I was single, and it was I first read the book and I did the online program, and obviously she's a coach in that area, but I really love it. So when I find out actually Katrin did that certification, I really want to interview her. So that's a long story short. So hello, Katrin, welcome to my show.
Hey, Ziwing, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. It's so nice to connect across the continents.
Yeah, I think, yeah, good. Like obviously this is evening in Sydney, Australia, and it's morning in Brussels, but I love that to do something like that, with different audience. So that's really good with technology. And going back to what I was saying before. So first I was single, I was dating, and then not dating for a long time. And then someone actually recommended me the book by Katrin Thomas, author of Calling in the One. And then I liked the book, the lot of exercises, and then I did the online program. So I know what it's about. But for some people who may not know about the Calling in the One, do you want to talk a little bit about your coaching work with that in mind?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. Lovely to connect, and happy to hear that you went through this program successfully and
Yes.
found your husband. That's really beautiful to know. So I mostly work with women, but also with some men. And what I'm witnessing is that the top barriers that people come to see me for is because there is a general distrust in love and in the other gender due to past disappointments and betrayal. Yeah. And many of us show up from an inner wound, a core wound. Yeah. And many of us carry an old story within us, like the men I like are not attracted to me. The good ones are all taken. If I get into a relationship, I'll lose my freedom. Yeah. Things like I'm too old to find love again. Who wants me at the age of 50? Yeah. So there's a lot of insecurity, a lot of pain around the topic. And many of us show up from this inner wound when we relate to the other gender. Yeah. And that's where it gets complicated. Yeah. And that's why relations don't work out in many cases because of these inner insecurities. Yeah. Deep distrust. Yeah. A lack of self-love. So, what we do in the program is we reprogram the subconscious mind to open up again to love. we look at all the fears, barriers, and obstacles that stand in the way of actually receiving love. Yeah, being receptive to it. Yeah, opening up to the energy of love. Yeah, and we start with self-love, of course, as the foundation.
Mm.
And also, what we do is we then release all these barriers and fears and obstacles, and we transform them. Yeah, and with that, you step into your next energetic level. Yeah. So we basically recalibrate your energetic vibrational field to become ready to attract someone new into your life. Yeah. From a place of self-confidence and self-worth. Yeah. Also, another part of this work is that we shift from what is called the false love identity into the true love identity. Yeah, and once you show up from this place within yourself, a lot of magic can happen.
Yeah, I think has been quite a few years that I read the book and did the online program as a participant. And I think one of the things was that, just like what you said, a lot of those barriers or people's negative beliefs, I mean, I think mine was that I came out from a not unhealthy relationship. And I think for me at that stage I was coming of age. I was mature enough to see that wasn't a right relationship. I want a better relationship. I feel I deserve more and I want to be more. And I did a lot of work on myself. And so I felt like I'm ready to date again. But I think at that time, what was hard is that sometimes you can have a, idea that I want to have a partner, I want a track relationship, but in reality, I don't really know what to do except to carry on what I've been doing. And if I keep on doing what I've been doing, I'm getting what I'm getting. So I don't want to sort of live it up to chance. And what I love about the book so much in the program is that, I mean, at least I'm doing different exercises to look at, what can I do as an action? I love to take action because I felt I'm moving forward rather than just sitting there and waiting things to be different. So that's what I really like about the program, because as she said, like, now the way you talk about it, obviously, it's from the other side of the fence where you were the coach, you were you were leading someone who would be like me, working through it. And what I like is that there's a lot of action and practical exercises to, unfold what's going on within me, which I thought it was really helpful. So for those who are wondering, get the book, get the program, or talk to Katrin, because I think sometimes we don't know what to do, and having someone to help us is so important, even just to talk through it and seeing things that we don't see, or telling us the truth. Like, so how did you come across this program yourself? Were you also like me looking for somebody, or you were already helping people, and you found this is a really useful tool?
Yes, well, actually, I did the conscious uncoupling before I did the calling in the one.
Okay, tell us about that.
Maybe I need to just talk a little bit, rewind, and talk a little bit about that, because it's like a sequence in my personal life as well. And that's how I came to know about the magic of this work. So, many years ago, I was going through a separation from my then partner, and we had been together about 4.5 years. And the way it happened actually was quite sudden and unexpected. And I was like, wow, saw my life crumbling before my eyes. It's like, wow, is this really happening to me right here, right now? I was quite, let's say, in disbelief and in shock. And I had to move out of the apartment because we lived together and I had moved in with him. So it was a total mess. Like, I was a mess, the situation was a mess. And I had to, I was feeling utterly abandoned and alone at the time. Because that relationship was, in a way, my foundation in life.
Like many of us, relationship is so important.
Course.
Yes,
it's our home in a way. So I had to move out and make arrangements to separate the household and still somehow keep my brain going and focused and go to work and get things done. But inside of me, I was shattered. And the thing was, I have friends, I have very good friends here who I could turn to and who supported me. But, you know, like after a while, like you don't want to bother them with the same kind of story again and again. And I knew I needed help, but I didn't know what kind of help. Yeah, so I didn't want to go to a psychotherapist or a psychologist. You know, that didn't seem kind of right. So then I started to do some research on the internet, and you know how one thing leads to another, and then wow, I came across the Conscious Uncoupling program. Okay, so I signed up and I did the program, and for me it was life-changing. Yeah. So a few more words about that. It shifted my perspective. It helped me to surface from grief and all the sadness and all the emotions that were pulling me down and keeping me stuck in that place. Yeah. And I could see really what was the relationship dynamic at the time. You know, why did things happen the way they did? And I found my way back into life again. Yeah, I really surfaced. And I could make sense and forgive myself and him eventually. Yeah. So then I thought, oh my goodness, this is so impactful, healing, and revolutionary. If I could ever become a coach for this program, this would be like the cherry on the cake. Okay. It was like, wow, I didn't even know something like this existed.
Right.
Yeah.
It is very specific, you know, and it's very life affirming rather than, you know, blaming or being negative. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but even the title tells me something about the program. The essence of the program is conscious uncoupling. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes. So yeah, it wasn't until 4 years later that this became possible to actually sign up as a coach,
right,
and be trained for this program. Yeah, so I had to wait quite a while, and in those years I took many other workshops, you know, and regarding women's spirituality, and I learned a lot about how women evolve, how we heal, what we need, and so forth. So it's been a magical journey, really.
It's like when the student is ready, the teacher is ready, and vice versa. You know, the teacher showed up, or the teacher showed up when the student ready. And yeah, I love it.
Yes.
So, okay, so I think that's really important that you sort of tested it for yourself. It really impacted your life, so you became an uncoupling coach. And then you I love this interview because I came from the other way, because I did the calling in the one, but not the conscious uncoupling. So then, like, obviously became a coach and you liked it. And then you did the other program, because it's sort of like, you know, it's almost that you can help women from both ends, because after coming out from this wound, maybe next thing is to find love again, or the other way around, you know, it could be both. So tell us how did you get into the calling in the one?
Yeah, well, it was in some way or another a continuation. Yeah, like you said.
You liked it. You like her teaching and everything.
Yeah. She's an amazing, very inspiring woman with years of experience that she has, you know, condensed and into her books and into the program, actually. And so I continued on the path, and also acquired a certification for the Calling in the One coaching program.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how did you find it? From this end and then to the other end? Do you find it very different in terms of approach, or is it like the philosophy may be similar?
The philosophy is similar. Yes. Yeah. It's how you basically, well, I already mentioned it a bit. Also, they also look at the wounding, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and how to show up and become, let's say, whole unto yourself, and how to show up when you are with others, and you know, with men or with women, how to show up from a place of wholeness. Yeah, because that's what makes you attractive.
Mm.
Yeah, showing up from your wholeness. And of course, we all always have, you know, insecurities and little wounds and things we don't like about ourselves, and they're all allowed to be part of us. But when it's about, let's say, showing up in the world, and it's you have to show up from a different place.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you know, like early on, you touch on that when you were going through your separation, it was very painful, and obviously you have friends and support network, but then after a time, it doesn't feel, you know, you want something else, you know, friends doesn't really do the job. And I actually want to touch on that, because I think people need to know friends are friends, but coaches do something completely different, because it's not that they are not friendly per se, but coaches help you to, as I said earlier, see something that you don't see or unable to admit for yourself. And that's why I think coaching work is so valuable. So perhaps tell us a little bit more from your experience with working with women who are coming off of divorce or separation. So what are the common struggle or to get back into that dating arena? Because you have the healing and the grieving, and then, you know, coming out of it, and then is it a big gap, you reckon, in between to get back into the game, so to speak? And how do you help people to transition?
Well, most of the women who do the conscious uncoupling program, yeah, after the program, they take a few months of integration time. Yeah, just to revisit read some books, or just be with themselves, and or do another kind of program, something they need for themselves. Yeah, and then later on, it's when they start to feel, let's say, an inner longing, like, okay, it would be nice to have somebody in my life again.
Like feeling ready?
Yeah, I kind of feel ready. I'm kind of curious, you know, what would it be like to go out there again and to date, but I'm still a little bit insecure, because, like, I've been married for 10 years and I've been out of the dating scene, and so much has changed, and it's all online these days, and oh, how do I really meet somebody, and where? So there are a lot of questions, you know, that surface. And then they come and they contact me, and then, you know, we start the journey of calling in the one. Yeah. And we start with slowly and gently with looking at, okay, who are you? Like, we're doing a holistic inventory, I like to call it. Yeah. Who are you? And what do you need? And what do you want in a relationship with somebody? What do you want to experience? What do you want to share? Yeah. So it's quite a deep dive to reconnect you to the essence of who you are. And many women also tell me, like, oh, you know, I've kind of forgotten who I am along the way.
Yes, that was actually what I wanted to ask you, because when you come out from a long relationship or divorce, you had an identity in that relationship. You may be the mother figure, or maybe you're the caretaker figure. You have an identity sometimes, and especially when the relationship isn't healthy, you lost yourself halfway through. You don't even know who you are. I mean, to get to know yourself again, it's actually quite a process, and it's not easy to do it on your own.
Yeah. So also, like you mentioned before, there's only so much one can do by oneself. Yeah, I can watch YouTubes, great. I can read books, yes. I can, but at the end of the day, it's really good to have that sparring partner, and to really have somebody who has your back and who holds the space for you, and who is, you know, who's showing you the mirror and telling you, well, maybe, you know, a different perspective could be useful here. Yeah, or who shows you those things that you know, are not willing to look at or acknowledge. Yeah. So I know, I mean, I've worked with coaches myself, and it's so valuable. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think it's quite like, you touch on some really important point where, like, that's why we hired a coach, because when you say something that it's sometimes not easy to accept or handle, you, after you receive it, you need to integrate, and sometimes you need to work it through with somebody. So you can read the book, all the books and YouTube video as you like, but unless you're actually working with someone and have this communication, it's not, it doesn't really do the job justice, because it's a really deep topic. And I think a lot of women, even with their friends, they may not come 100% open and honest, because there's always these barriers. But when you work with a coach, they're not really your friends, and you can really say all you want. There's no judgment. And I think it's such a hard, like, important thing to hold that space. So like, I know that with all the years you work with women, I think that was one of the things that people really need, is that safe space to process these things. So
Yes.
and how long normally is the program? So tell us a bit about, like, so for each program, so how long when you take someone on this journey, is it like a sort of like, is it a structure that have a certain time, recommended time, or is it depends on the person's progress? How does it work?
Yeah, well, sure. Now, the conscious uncoupling is a framework, yeah, that's made up of 5 steps. And in my program, I offer an additional integration session. So altogether, it's 6 sessions. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a framework with specific, let's say, there is a red thread in there. Yeah. But at the same time, the beauty of it is that it leaves a lot of space for the personal issues. Yeah. So we really talk about what's going on in the life of a person. Yeah. It's not like a top-down approach, yeah, where you have to completely bend over to fit into a program. No, the program aligns to you as a human being. Yeah. And the Calling in the One program is made up of 8 steps. Yeah. And that takes a little bit longer because, well, there's no particular reason for it, but it's just the way the process has been designed. Yeah.
And some people may take a shorter time between each steps, and some may take longer, depends what happens.
It says, okay, 5 steps, and they can be worked through in a period of, let's say, 4 to 8 weeks. Yeah, depending on people's availability, their work schedules. So there is some flexibility.
Right.
Yeah? But it's good to keep momentum and to meet a minimum every week or every 2 weeks.
Right. And you mentioned that sometimes things serve us, and what would be the things that, from your experience working with all these women idol group, what are the things that serve us that actually surprise themselves? Like, they think they're coming through like helping me to get over the grip, but then they discover something else. There's some surprises along the way, you reckon?
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of, let's say, you get to know yourself again. Yeah, you discover more about who you are, and you connect again with hidden parts of yourself. Yeah, so for example, in the Calling in the One, it's also about romance. Yeah, and what does romance mean to you? Yeah, it can mean different things to different people. So how do you define romance? How do you celebrate romance? Yeah, what do you find romantic? Yeah. So yeah.
You have funny, like, I don't know, like, I personally feel I'm not a very romantic person, maybe because I have so much work and the kids involved, but like, it's something that we can all cultivate and grow, right? And another thing I find interesting is that sometimes it's not like with 2 people, it's the relationship is ongoing, it's always a growth process. Sometimes you even meet the right guy at the right time and your right maturity, But if you don't nurture it, if you don't put some romance or momentum or energy back into it, you can still, the relationship can still get, you know, into a stagnant stage, isn't it? So what would you say to people when they find themselves in that sort of crossroad? Because some people that I know, it's not that they think they married the wrong guy, but it just, the relationship doesn't seem to be moving in that growing direction. So what would you say to those people?
Yes, beautiful question. How to keep watering the garden of your love, basically. Yes. So my recommendation is to remain creative and playful. Okay. So a bit more concrete. Keep dating each other. Yeah. So take turns. Let's say you date, let's say you have children, but you still want to date every 2 weeks. Okay. So 1 week you set up the date, you choose the restaurant or the venue, or you buy tickets for a concert, or you take him to a yoga class or something else. Yeah. And 2 weeks later, it's him taking care of the date. And for you, it's a surprise. You don't know where he will take you. Yeah. So keep the surprises. Or, you know, stick a little note in his gym bag. Yeah. Or hide a gift under his pillow. And when you go to bed, you know, he will find it.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at also reminded me that so many people complaining about after being married for 10 years or being together 10 years, there's no more surprises in romance. Actually, you know what? People who said those things, they need to look harder on themselves. Are they doing something to keep it going, right? Because you said it take turns. So we can complain about our husband all day long, but are we planning dates? Are we sticking notes? I think that's quite important, like, to think about before we tell them that, you know, you give me no romance. It's like,
yeah, how to turn the complaining into creativity.
Yes, well,
the
from
same
complaint
energy,
to creative, it's good.
the same energy you spend on complaining, you could be spending it on being creative in your mind, coming up with something. And may I add one more thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Something beautiful to do is also, like, you can buy a relationship candle.
Okay, what's that?
Yeah. It's just a candle you buy in a shop, something that you like. And it's for both of you. When you sit down together at a table or on the sofa or wherever, you light the candle and you create the sacred space for your connection time.
Right.
You can take turns to listen to each other. You can even time it, you know, put on the phone. Okay, I'll listen to you now for 10 minutes, or you listen to me. And then you can ask each other, okay, what's really important to you right now? And how can I support you in making it happen? Yeah. So you can have a conversation on that. You can have a conversation about, hey, how are you feeling? And you just get to pour out all your feelings, you know, the good ones and the, you know, the nasty ones. You can say something, hey, you know, I'm really sorry about that time when I forgot to, you know, pick up your shirts from the laundry or whatever. Yeah. And then you can say also, I want to thank you for that moment when you came and picked me up after the dentist appointment. Yeah. So really sharing and honoring, you know, those moments in the everyday. And then you can also add something about the relationship, like make a wish. I'd love us to, you know, be more intimate again. Or I'd like us to hold hands more often because it makes me feel really good.
Love it.
Yeah.
And I never heard about relationship candle before, but I think this is great because you know how often we get so busy, and when we have a spare moment, we look at our phones, right? But if you when you have a relationship candle and you light it, it kind of, like you said, you created a space, so you have to honor that space, and it kind of program yourself that, oh, this is relationship time, so we're not supposed to look at phones, we're supposed to talk to each other. and things
Yes.
come up and come out, right? But if you don't
Yes.
create that space or signify it with a little gesture, you don't have to even go out for a restaurant or day or anything. Even just lighting the candle, sit on the sofa for half an hour, it's tremendously useful. I love that concept. And you know, if the candle is full of dust, you haven't been doing it enough. You know how candle get a dust if you don't use it?
Yeah.
So it's great reminder. If you're complaining about your relationship is not moving, you look at the candle, you're like, this is full of dust. We need to. I really love that concept. So that's a really good tip. And I remember with Calling in the One, there's a chapter or something that is about becoming the person you want to date, right? So if you say, I want someone loyal or someone, I don't know, fun, like you kind of have to be that mirror yourself. And then I think it is so applicable in a relationship. You want to keep this alive, you be alive too. Like, what are you bringing into the relationship? If you don't even sit down and talk, you put no energy into something, how can something be alive? So such a great reminder.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Like, do you have any other little like tools or widgets and things that could be really helpful for couples or individuals?
More? No. Well, like you said, for example, when we have a moment, we keep looking at our phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how about looking into each other's eyes?
Mm.
Because that's also where the magic and the connection happens. Yeah, just becoming present with each other and slowing down and just eye gazing for a little moment. Yeah, and just to feel that connection again. Oh yeah. Yeah, so instead of connecting with my phone, I connect with my man.
Mm.
Yeah.
Great. Like small little action, but actually says a lot, because you know how often we hide behind something. Let's say I'm not having a good day at work, I don't want to talk about it, and then you don't want to connect with your eyes because your eyes may show, and then maybe you don't want to talk about it. I don't know, but so often we don't do that, and then it is really like small tips, small action, but actually really big, like what it can bring out. Like when you connect with someone looking at you, really can't hide, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I can add something to that. Now, for example, just to wrap it up, you know, the tips and tricks how to keep the garden of your love alive. You know, you have to keep planting seeds, you have to keep watering it, you know, just like garden, you look after the plants, how they grow, and the same way, you know, you apply that to your relationship. Yeah, what does it need right now? Tune in with yourself, with your partner. Yeah. So, for example, another thing is to speak your feelings and your needs when they come up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Otherwise, there is a risk that you build up resentment over time. Yeah. If you build up too much resentment of unspoken things, you start shutting down, or you explode at some time at your partner, or you lash out, or you become edgy, you know, and the moment you become edgy, then something is out of balance already. Then you can check in with yourself and say, hey, why am I edgy? Yeah. Does it have to do something with me or with him? Yeah. Why am I edgy? So speaking feelings and needs in the moment as much as possible, catching them. Yeah. We are so busy with so many things. It's always, oh, okay, never mind. Later. Yeah. And that later then kind of builds up. And then, yeah, that's when the resentment starts. Yeah. Another beautiful thing is to support each other in your projects. Yeah. On your path in life, on your dreams, yeah, on your travels, adventures, whatever you want to experience. And also but it's also important to have at least one thing in common, like a shared activity, hobby, something joyful or creative or sporty. Yeah. And also for us as women, one more thing I want to share, and I'm also being mindful of our time together, is for us women, it's important also sometimes to just take a step back and take some time out. Yeah, you probably know this. Yeah.
You mean like
So,
we over communicate, or we are too demanding? What do you mean by take a step back?
No, taking a step back is to nurture our inner feminine essence.
Right.
Yeah. To go on a women's retreat, go to a women's circle for one evening. Yeah. Find one in your neighborhood. Go to a women's retreat. Just hang out with your sisters. Yeah. Dance with them. Talk to them. Nurture your inner feminine essence, because that's going to, again, make you feel the polarity much stronger with your partner. Yeah. Or if you don't have a women's circle, you can just travel to another town and visit a girlfriend and have a great time together. Yeah. And do whatever your heart's desire. Yeah. Go shopping, or, go to a concert, go dancing, or just take time out for yourself. Go somewhere, sleep in a hotel for 2 days.
I do secretly think about these things.
Say again?
I do secretly like fantasizing taking that womanly time out, because, as a working mom, you feel there's a lot of responsibilities, but then you're not nurturing your feminine side necessarily, just because you at times we're like the mothers and the warriors and caretakers, the cook and the cleaner, right? And so that like taking time out, and it was always in my secret fantasy to just hide out in the hotel by myself. And obviously it's nice to hang out with girlfriends or dancing or retreat, but I also have secret fantasy of just be by myself as a woman, not as a warrior, mother, and cleaner.
Yes. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So thank you so much for today. There's a lot of great tips. I really love all this. I mean, in a way, they sound little things to do. It's not very hard or difficult, but I think they get very helpful and very important. And so there's no excuse for people like me not to, get a candle. It's not that hard. Or just pay attention about looking each other's eyes and doing little things and be mindful of all this. And it's totally doable. And so for those of ladies who's complaining out there, this is a great advice that you, instead of complaining, try to be creative. And for those who may be looking for the one, or wondering how you can pass the period of grief or the separation and the pain, Katrin is obviously going to be able to help you as a coach. So tell us, how could people find you online, and how can they connect with you?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, you're very welcome to connect with me via Facebook under my name, Karin Dürkoop. The U is with 2 dots. That's the German way of spelling it. I
will have the link below on the blog post, so people can click on it.
Yeah. So basically, people like to connect with me with my private Facebook profile, where I also post a lot of interesting articles and things, inspiration, and my website is also available. It's transitiontime.net.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think that's really helpful. And the people also, because I've gone through your website, so if people are interested in either calling in the one or conscious uncoupling with you, they can read a little bit more about it. And I think it's a very powerful program. I only did one, not the other, but I think both are valuable tremendously. So thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. And I really enjoyed talking about these 2 topics, which are really close and dear to my heart. And I probably could go on talking to you.
I know. We can do the women thing.
But let's be continued another time. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.